Aim assist, oh aim assist. The thing that allows controller users to be competitive with mouse and keyboard users when well balanced, makes controllers useless in PC games when too weak, and makes controllers the only viable option when too strong. These days, it seems every game that has aim assist has issues to some degree. Aim assist is a hot topic in basically every game that uses it these days, and that is because it is so hard to properly balance against mouse and keyboard. So why is that? And why should developers care if the two input methods are balanced? So we already briefly touched on that first question of why it's so hard to balance the two input methods in any game. Competitive gamers are going to look for every tiny advantage they can get to that next level. If you imagine the two input methods on a seesaw with mouse and keyboard on one end and controller on the other, even the slightest tweak can set the whole system out of whack, causing one input method to become far and away superior to the other, which is going to lead us directly into our next question. Why should developers care if the two input methods are balanced? Well, back in the day, they really didn't. For the most part, aim assist was a feature that was introduced on console FPS games and other shooters so that people playing them with controllers had a more enjoyable experience, especially at a more casual level. The amount of aim assist totally varied from game to game, but since everyone on those consoles was playing on a controller, it was an equal playing ground and it didn't really matter how strong or weak the aim assist was because everyone got the same thing. This totally changes though when you move over to PC, as players can choose to play with a wide variety of peripherals. Slight side note here, more and more games are starting to support mouse and keyboard natively on consoles, so it's even more important that developers get this balance right. Developers have taken different stances on how to handle this over the years, whether they removed aim assist altogether on PC titles, or maybe even toned it down a little bit. However, as of late, more and more games seem to be having issues with aim assist. Games like Apex, Modern Warfare, Fortnite, and the topic of this video, Halo. To be clear, I'm not saying all these games have overpowered aim assist, as I'm not super informed on all the different scenes for these games. Just that all those games have aim assist for controllers on PC, and the communities of those games have spoken out to it on various degrees. A couple of those titles also have crossplay, which leads to console controller players playing against PC mouse and keyboard players. In an ideal world, the developers of these games want players to be able to play on whatever input device is most comfortable to them. Like I mentioned earlier, if aim assist is too weak, then players are going to be unable to be as competitive on a controller, and this could lead to controller players possibly quitting the game. Too strong though, and you end up with a game dominated by controllers at the top level, shunning those mouse and keyboard players. This becomes an issue especially for Halo, as it's trying to make its push onto the PC market. Most endemic Halo players have played Halo on controller their whole lives, so if mouse and keyboard doesn't feel up to snuff for them, they can always just pick the sticks back up. However, the issue arises in non-endemic Halo players. These are the people that are coming in to check out Halo for possibly the first time, or checking back into Halo after many years of not playing it on console. They might even be PC gamers these days who primarily use mouse and keyboard. So they come in and they think that the balance is messed up between these two input methods, causing many of those new and returning players to just stop playing. Not everyone wants to pick up a controller and play, so if they feel the balance is too off, they just go back to playing whatever other games they enjoy. Now, to be clear, at this point, I think it's very unlikely that 343 does anything to adjust aim assist balance for the Master Chief Collection titles. These legacy titles are old, and let's be honest, every time they attempt to change anything or fix anything, it breaks the entire collection. So for this video, I'm mostly discussing aim assist balance in Halo Infinite, because I think if 343 does not do a better job of balancing the two input methods, it's going to greatly hamper the PC community for the franchise moving forward. Whether you agree with the premise that aim assist is too strong or not, it's pretty inarguable that aim assist is pushing away some of these non-endemic Halo players. Now, let's talk about some of the common arguments that I've seen on both sides. This is generally an argument coming from mouse and keyboard players who are frustrated with their experience in-game. While having some foundations in reality, it's pretty clear that this is an exaggeration, and aim assist does exactly what the name implies, assist your aim. It clearly doesn't aim for you, and playing on a controller is a skill that you develop over time. It's not as easy as just plugging in a random controller that you find in your house and instantly dropping 30 bombs in every lobby. Many of the people in your lobby that you see wrecking on controller have been perfecting that craft for up to thousands of hours in various Halo titles and other FPS games in general. This one is true. However, the goal here isn't to just get rid of aim assist altogether, but rather find a balance that leads to both groups of players feeling satisfied when they're playing. This one is definitely true. Halo is much more than just raw aim. However, what people are not accounting for when they bring this up is that there is a base level you need to be at before map positioning, game knowledge, and all those other factors really come into play. If you're unable to win your gunfights a majority of the time because you're missing one burst or you're missing a couple bullets out of your burst, you are going to be a liability to your team. Can you make up some of the deficiencies by being good at other parts of the game? Absolutely. However, at the end of the day, you are going to have 1v1 gunfights that you need to win, and if you're consistently losing them, it's going to be a problem. This is very true. The mouse and keyboard versus controller argument completely varies on a game-by-game basis, and in each of those games there are things a mouse and keyboard player can do that a controller player cannot. Mouse and keyboard players can always whip around and turn quicker, they have more consistent aim at long ranges where that aim assist isn't coming into play as much, and sniping on mouse and keyboard can be easier. You also have the flexibility with control schemes, and you can bind different input methods to whatever you want all over your mouse and keyboard. These are all very true factors that definitely does help the mouse and keyboard player over the controller player. However, the problem arises in what I would consider the main component of many gunfights, especially in the 4v4 Halo setting, which to me has always been the bread and butter of Halo. While I occasionally dip into BTB, 4v4 Halo is Halo to me. So in these 4v4 games, you have a lot of close to mid-range gunfights, and the time to kill of Halo requires you to track your enemy for an extended period of time, while you 5-shot them with the DMR and Reach, 3-shot them with the pistol and CE, or 4-shot them with the BR and the various versions of Halo 2 that are currently on PC. This becomes increasingly difficult on mouse and keyboard, as users must stay on their target for the entire gunfight while you and your enemy strafe in different directions, crouch, jump, all that different stuff. This is totally different than on a controller, where the aim assist of these games, some more than others I'll admit, will greatly help you out for the duration of these gunfights. Halo is not a game like Call of Duty where you flick to people and put a handful of bullets into them before taking them down. You're required to take much longer gunfights. Long story short for this argument, while yes, mouse and keyboard has its own advantages, it is greatly overshadowed by the benefits of aim assist on a controller. For this one I do, but I hate this argument because not every player has the option or wants to entertain this option in a PC game. On PC, many players play with mouse and keyboard, so alienating those players who want to play shooters with a mouse and keyboard is not a good play if Halo hopes to gain new fans on PC with Halo Infinite. While I do agree it is important to cater to Halo's existing fans, we must accept that franchises should always be making an effort to bring in new fans, because slowly over time those old fans trickle out. If you don't bring in new fans to replace them, then eventually the franchise dies. I don't even really need to address this one. This just alienates potential players, and if you're a fan of Halo, you should be trying to get as many players into the franchise as possible and not just shunning a huge portion of PC gamers. To be clear, I don't think most reasonable people throw out this argument. It's just something that you definitely do see. Again, this argument is pretty weak to me, as just because a game was originally designed with a controller in mind doesn't mean that the controller needs to be way more viable than the other input method. But like I mentioned earlier, I really don't see 343 changing anything in the legacy Halo titles. All I'm hoping for at this point is that they take some of the input from the PC community and make sure Infinite is more balanced. Hell, for all we know, maybe 343 is doing a really good job testing Infinite and this won't be an issue. That would be pretty nice. This one is true to some degree, however everyone, regardless of method, incorrectly identifies why they're doing poorly in games. Whether you blame your teammates, your spawns, the maps you're playing on, or your input method, everyone misplaces blame, and saying that this is an issue exclusive to people playing on mouse and keyboard seems a bit facetious to me. While this one is true, I think it's pretty unlikely that the Master Chief Collection gets crossplay at all at this point. Between the upcoming release of Halo Infinite and the fact that 343 is still just trying to get out the rest of the games, I doubt that we end up getting crossplay in the Master Chief Collection. Infinite is most likely going to have it if you follow the trends of other games, but like I talked about earlier, with more and more games supporting mouse and keyboard on consoles anyways, I think it's extremely important that 343 balances controller and mouse play, because most likely the console version and the PC version are going to have players using both input methods. So it's important that on both of those systems, even if there's not crossplay, that there is balance between the two input methods. There are probably many other common arguments that I'm just forgetting about, but that is the basic gist of it. The way Halo is currently headed, if 343 does not find a better way to balance the two input methods in the future, the game is going to struggle to get new fans on PC. One obvious solution to this is input-based matchmaking, and maybe that is something we will see in Infinite alongside with crossplay. This pretty much solves all your issues, as you no longer have to balance the two input methods. You can kind of just let them run rampant with however it is. However, I doubt this gets added into the Master Chief Collection, and even if it did, I think everyone would end up having to just turn it off just to find matches. Seeing people downplay this issue and pretending like the balance is perfectly fine makes me a little bit sad. I don't care if you like playing on a controller or a mouse and keyboard, but wanting all Halo players to have a good experience on PC is good for the franchise. Halo isn't at the spot these days where it can just alienate entire groups of players. At the end of the day, mouse and keyboard isn't really unplayable like some make it out to be. But if 343 wants both controller players and mouse and keyboard players to have a good experience when playing, I think that some slight tweaks are needed. The different games also have various degrees of issues, with honestly Halo 2 Anniversary being by far the most egregious when it comes to mouse versus controller balance in my opinion. Really, I just want 343 to take a long, hard look at the data they have, because truly, at the end of the day, they are the only ones that have access to this data that will allow you to properly determine if something is overpowered, beyond all of us just doing the eye test and kind of talking about the feel of our games. 343 right now could probably pull data on who is playing on what input method and the win rates of those input methods, along with tons of other statistics related to this issue. Hopefully Infinite ends up better balanced in these games in the Master Chief Collection, because if it is not, I do not think that Halo Infinite will be able to attract many of those PC gamers that it should be aiming to lure in. Halo on PC is a huge opportunity for Halo. These are a ton of new fans that even if they are aware of Halo, they might not have played in years, they might have never played it, and we have the opportunity to gain a ton of new fans. A lot of these fans will play on mouse and keyboard, and wanting them to have a good experience should be the goal. Obviously, we don't know with Infinite being on PC if the esports scene is going to be on Xbox or if it's going to be on PC. But I think it would be disappointing if it ends up on PC and every top player ends up playing on a controller like it is now. And to those who say, well, Reach was only like that because all these pros have been playing on controller for years and they're not going to try and learn a new input method, while that is true, tons of these Halo competitors are very competent on mouse and keyboard in other games, and I guarantee if they thought that playing mouse and keyboard would give them an edge, then they'd make the switch. I would love to hear what you think about the mouse and keyboard versus controller debate in Halo, so let me know in the comments. Hopefully we can keep the argument productive, as there truly are points to be made on both sides, and I just want to see Halo make the correct decisions moving forward. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. If for some reason you want to watch me play Halo or other random games, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Arrrash with 3 R's, and if you want to read my random thoughts, you can follow me on Twitter at Arrrash with 4 R's. And I'll see you guys next time.